Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can use the coding program Python to graphically visualize your datasets. So to get started, we're going to download some data. So let's head to Data Victoria, which is a really great open resource that you can find and search for data. Okay, so let's just go by age, gender, and we'll go with Indic. And let's just see. Obviously, you can search for something more specifically. For today, I'm not really fussed about the data. It's more about the process. Okay, now we're going to select a format that we want our data to be displayed in. And so today's tutorial is going to show you how you can take a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet and use that data. Okay, and now we're searching. Okay, perfect. Now let's download this data. And this looks good. Go to here and just hit download. And this will now download our data for us. Now let's head on over to Python. Now, if you're new to Python, you may be using a different interface. I'm not really sure. And I do recommend doing some basic tutorial courses on how to use Python before just jumping straight into data science. But today's tutorial is quite simple and easy to follow along with, hopefully. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create a new Python file. And we're also going to make sure that we've saved our data. So I've just gone ahead whilst that was loading, and I've just gone ahead and just resaved my data, and I've just called it dummy data. So for today, that's what I'll be referring to. Okay, so some things to get started generally. When we use a hash key in Python, it just means that it's not going to be run through as code to read. So basically, it's just text there for your own benefit, and it tells the computer to just skip over it and not read it. So this is really good for things such as headings. So I'm just going to type in import, because before we get started, there's actually a few, I guess you could call them libraries, that we want to import. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to import is matplotlib, which is a good little library to help graphically show graphs for data visualization. I don't think we'll be using the library today, but it's just a good one to have. And from here, we'll get, I guess you could almost think of it as a plugin if you use Grasshopper or a program like that. It's almost like a plugin called pyplot. And we're going to give it a shortcut. So we're going to, from this main source here, we're going to import another source of it. So it's almost like a section or a library or a book. It's like, this is our library. We're now importing a book. And now we're going to give our book a nickname. And in today's case, we're going to shorten it to PLT. So that now whenever we're coding, we can just use PLT instead of having to write this. So it's just a nice shortcut. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to import numpy or numpy as NP, because NP. And I'm also going to import the most important one for today, pandas, which is almost a given when you open up any Python program for data science. And that's probably all we need. And now I'm just going to run this cell to make sure that everything's done well. And to run a cell, the shortcut is Control-Enter. Control-Enter, and we can see that it's run. And whilst it's running, our little star will pop up there. Now, to create a new cell, we can just go B, which generates a new cell for us. And then we're going to enter, and that just enters us into the cell. And so the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to import CSV file. And so now we're going to import a CSV file. Okay, and now to do that, we are going to type in df, which basically means data frame. So df data frame. And we're going to type in equals space. And we're going to type in pd, so that's our pandas library, so pd.read underscore CSV. Now we're going to, in our parentheses, go r bracket, and we're going to locate where our data is found. So let's just open up here, and I've just saved it as dummy data. And I'm now going to go to properties, where I can see that. I always like going to security, and you can see the object name here, and I just copy that there. And now I'm just going to quite simply paste it in here. And it should look something like that. And now to show the data set that I've just imported, so at the moment, if I was to just run this cell, it would only, it wouldn't show me anything. So I wouldn't know whether it's working unless there was an error, then it would tell me that there's an error. But I want to see my data set, or just to make sure that it's looking all good, and also to show you guys. So I'm just going to print it. So print means show, basically. And df is what we're going to print, because that's what we've defined. So basically, our file here has been also defined as a df, or as df. And now we're going to run that. Yay, all's run well. Okay, so let's start our next one, which is plotting the data. Plot data. Okay, and so for today's tutorial, I'm going to create a bar chart. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write plt dot plot, and now I'm going to tell the code what I want it to plot. And so the first thing I want it to plot is our df, our data frame, and from this data frame here, which is just above here, I want to then look at the certain columns. And so the columns that I'm wanting to analyze are age, so I'm going to use square brackets, and okay, and so now what we want to do is we want the column, so we're going to, for today's case, we're going to be looking at age, and we're also going to be looking at gender. So this means in square brackets, age, and now the next one we want is the data frame. And in square brackets, we want it to be gender. Also, don't forget to enclose that into quotation marks. All right, now once we've done that, I guess I can show you what it's looking like. So it's looking like this. So this is not how we want our graph to be looking. And so we're going to clean that up. And so to do that, we're going to, by the way, you can stay in the one cell when you're graphing data. I just like to enter cells and create new cells just for clarity. And we're going to, I guess, what will we do? Add some labels, add labels and titles. And to do that, the first thing we're going to do is plt dot x. So this is going to give our x label a definition. And in today's case, so now we can go back to using our normal regular brackets. In today's case, we are going to pop in age. And you see how now I can call this whatever I want. Ages, but we'll call it just age for today, but now I can give, so this is a definition in a square bracket. It's actually taking it from the data that I have. And in here, I'm giving it a name, and this name can be whatever I want, but I'm wanting to call it age. Now we also want to do the Y label. So we're going to type in the same thing except for the Y label, and we're going to call it gender. And we're now going to also give our graph a title. And let's give our title, I'll call it Python to, what should I call it? Python tutorial, Python coding. Now this isn't a very relevant title, but I just wanted to show you that you can make this text whatever you want. And now we're going to show it, but we're going to turn it into a bar chart. So we're going to type in plt.show because we're wanting to show our data. And we can just have, enclosed brackets there, which is going to read from what we've already done. And what we want to show is pandas. Now this is an interesting line of code, crosstab, which means that's reading it from the columns in a more organized way, because at the moment the data is quite scrambled, and that's why we're getting these lines projecting in random ways. Crosstab, and we're going to go data frame. Once again, type that in, age, and then we can go data frame, gender, and now the thing that's going to be most important is saying what sort of graph we want. And so I'm wanting to create a bar chart. So we're going to write plot and then dot bar. And I almost made a mistake. So I actually wanted to close this bracket here. And instead I'm going to have an empty set of brackets at the end of my code like so. And so now what we can see is we have our messy data that we started with, and now we have this data set, which we can also now save as an image and save to our folder. And now we have, ta-da, some plotted out data here showing genders versus male versus female. And there's obviously quite a big data set, but that's basically how you can start plotting out your data. You also have the ability to then start playing around with text size, bin sizes, which is like how it's showing. So at the moment it's showing for every single age, but maybe in a later tutorial I can show you how you can combine the ages to be a range. So it might be from ages 0 to 20 and ages 21 to 40, etc. So that you're not getting such a spread out data